So, hello everybody, my name is Kelsey, and we're about to get very, very nerdy with a tag. Today we're going to be doing the musical theater tag, and it was created by Maddie over at Book Browsing Blog, so I will leave her channel linked down below, or at least the video down below of her doing this tag. And I believe she said it was like loosely based on another tag, but like that information will be in her video. But it's like 10-ish questions, I think, but it's all based on specific songs from musicals, and like every single musical in this tag is like my favorite. I don't know if y'all know this about me, but I'm a huge, I love musical theater. I love Broadway. It's all I listen to as far as music goes. I love it. I even pulled out, my Hamilton shirt today because it's, the only shirt that I own, weirdly enough, that has, something to do with musical theater on it. So I brought out the Hamilton t-shirt for today because I love me some musical theater, and I'm excited to talk about all of these musicals. They're my favorite. I don't know if anyone's going to be interested in this, but I decided, if I can figure out how to do it, to link a Spotify playlist down below that I have created with all of the specific songs that we will talk about today. If you've never heard of the songs, or you have no idea what I'm talking about or why the prompt relates to the song, go listen to that song, because for copyright reasons I won't be playing them in this video. But I am really excited to just talk about some things, and I can combine my favorites, musical theater and books, in one video. It's my dream. So let's stop blabbering about things and talk about the important stuff, which is the books. So the first one, ironically, is Satisfied from Hamilton, and that is a book that left you unsatisfied, had a unsatisfying ending, needs a sequel, that kind of stuff. And for me, I feel like this is gonna be a lot of people's answers, and that is Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. This is a companion to Simon vs. the Homo sapiens agenda, and I love Becky Albertalli. She is one of my favorite authors, but with this one, it just fell flat. The only way that I can describe it, which is how I've definitely described it before, is it felt like bad fan fiction. So this was an unsatisfying ending. I don't really think it needs a sequel, but it definitely had an unsatisfactory ending. It was unsatisfying to read. I just did not enjoy my time physically reading this book, and that's so sad because, her other books I loved. But for some reason, this one was just not my thing. The next one is Everybody's Talking About Jaime from the musical Everyone's Talking About Jaime, which is, about a boy who discovers drag, and, perfection, right? But this is a hyped book that you want to read purely for the hype. And this one was hard for me because most of the time books that are really hyped, I'll investigate, and then that'll help me decide if I want to read it, or if I do want to read it because of the hype, I'm still interested in the book. But I think this is the only one I can think of, and honestly, it is the graphic novel Monstrous. I ran out of graphic novels to read. I literally have read every single graphic novel that I own. And so I bought this because I wanted to give it a shot, and I learned that it's actually a horror graphic novel, and I don't do horror. I don't. But everything sounds everyone who goes into this one loves this book. The art style is incredibly pretty. I know nothing about this book. I think she's part robot. I don't know. But everyone that I've heard really seems to like this book, and I love me some graphic novels, and the art style is pretty. So the hype got to me. So the next one is Journey to the Past from Anastasia, which freaking love this. The movie is my husband and I's movie, and the musical is just stop. I'm so happy. But this prompt is a book that features flashbacks or backstories or something like that. And so I knew the answer to this one instantly, and that is the third in the School for Good and Evil series, The Last Ever After by Soman Chainani, because we do get a lot of backstory. We get a lot of the main three characters, Sophie, Agatha, and Tedros. I forgot his name for a second. The three of them, we definitely get backstories on all of their parents. We also get flashbacks to certain things. We also have moments with what I would call original fairy tales, which are things like Thumbelina, Peter Pan, Cinderella, like those types of books. And you get, I've talked about this before, the backstory of Cinderella in here is like perfection. So there's a lot of backstories, there's a lot of flashbacks, there's a lot of everything in here, and I loved it. So the next one is honestly the only one on this list that I know not as well, but like I know it, but like I don't listen to it as often, but I need to because it's very fun. Anyway, that is Michael in the Bathroom from Be More Chill, and this is a book that you would take with you to a party if you needed to like hide in the bathroom. What would you read? And so let's be honest, I would take my Kindle because everything is on here and I could read like whatever I wanted. But on said Kindle, I do have the first book in the ACOTAR series, and I still haven't read it. So I'm going to say that one, or at least that series, because everything about this series sounds really interesting. On like reviews about this book that I have heard, both positive and negative, like even the negative things that people have said about this book are things that I personally would enjoy and do enjoy in books. So I'm really intrigued by this series a lot, and I don't know, I feel like I'm gonna be one of the people who actually like her style of writing works for. I feel like she's an author that I will really get invested in what is happening on the page because it's angsty and like drama filled, and there's also romance and like all of those things I enjoy. So I'm gonna go with that one. So the next one is ExWives from Musical 6, which I honestly didn't think like anybody knew about, but it's amazing. It's a musical about the 6 wives of Henry VIII. It's awesome, and I love it so much, and I'm so glad that it is part of this tag. I can't think, I'm so excited. The prompt for this one is to name a book that is a twist or retelling of a story that is really well known. And so for this one, I'm going to go with Circe by Madeline Miller. This is kind of a backstory that we never got to Circe, who is a character in Greek mythology, specifically in the Odyssey. She is basically a nymph or a goddess that lives on an island that Odysseus comes to on his voyage and like stays for 10 years. She also turns his men into pigs. She's that person, but like this follows her from when she's like super young to her like backstory up into how she got on the island, and then even beyond Odysseus. And I love that what we know about Circe is so small as far as original mythology text, but like she gives this person so many things, and I loved it. Plus the writing is just flowery and beautiful, and I love this Madeline Miller's writing. So I'm gonna say this one because it's like when I think of retellings I instantly think of Circe, just because she had so little to go on. The next one is Still Hurting from the Last 5 Years, but that is to talk about a book or a series that like hurt you and is still with you to this day. And I feel like this is an obvious answer, and like everyone is going to agree with me, but I'm gonna say the Illuminae files, specifically Illuminae, but all of them. Like all of them do this, where they like make you care, and then they break you in so many ways. There's just this thing that happens like really early on, and it's the pages in here that break you, and it's just, maybe I'll show you one, just because like it means nothing out of context. But it's this page. It's what happens right before this page. And just turning the page onto that one after reading what happened before, it's shocking. That's kind of what Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff do as writers. I think both of them do it independently, but they definitely do it together. And I've heard things about Aurora Rising by them, and I'm kind of like scared to start that book just because I'm afraid I'm gonna like be broken by the end of it. But like this entire series is so well crafted, but like so many terrible things happen that it sticks with you. The next one is Me in the Sky from Come Far Away, which is just an incredibly gorgeous song. So good. But this is a book that features a job, whether it's real or fantastical, that like is a dream job for you. And I'm going to choose The Missing Manuscript of Jane Austen by Sarit James, because our main character in here is kind of a librarian, but she works with rare documents and rare, not manuscripts, but like rare books. And like she specializes in taking care of rare books. And like goals to be put in charge and to know all of these cool facts about books and publishing and like all of that. I want that. So the next one is Santa Fe from the Newsies, which is a fictional place that you would love to visit. And I think, when I think of fictional places to visit, I think of fantasies, and a lot of fantasies are not particularly fun to visit, but I think this one would be. So I'm going to say Middle Earth, which is like The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings world by J.R.R. Tolkien, because like the stories that I'm holding up aren't particularly the happiest of stories, but the world itself would be so cool. I would love to live in Hobbiton. Like I just want to be friends with hobbits. They're so happy. They're like the happiest people ever. But like I think Middle Earth would be so cool because there are so many fantastical creatures in here that you could just like take your pick and you could see all of them. So the next song is When He Sees Me from Waitress, which is also an amazing song. And that is a book that you just like fell in love with when you saw the cover. So the book that I'm picking up, I think, is like maybe one of the 2 books in this video that I haven't read. But like I feel like I'm gonna love it. And that is A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. How many times am I gonna hold this book up? Apparently a lot, because it's been in like almost every single video in the past like 2 or 3 weeks. But this one basically is just set in a world where there are black mermaids and sirens. And like that's literally all I need to know. And the cover is just stunning. So yeah. I feel like this one was very obvious. The next one is Disappear from Dear Evan Hansen, which is just all kinds of feels in a musical. And that is a underhyped backlisted book. And that is The King's Curse by Philippa Gregory. This is one of the many books that she has in her Plantagenet Tudor England series. And this one follows a woman named Margaret, who is kind of like a lady in waiting in King Henry's court, starting with his first wife, and then she sees King Henry basically go through almost all of his wives. I can't remember if we see the 6th wife, but I think we are introduced to the 6th wife, and like it hints at the fact that like he's gonna get with her, and it's just her going through life trying to survive, but like also being like a family friend of King Henry and like was there when he was a kid, because this starts relatively later on in her life. I want to say that she is closer to her mid-30s, and then it ends when she's in like her 50s or 60s, and so it's like the later half of her life, but she just sees this man disintegrate basically into like what we know as King Henry today. But it was amazing and I loved it, and like I would reread this book no problem because it was so good. So that's my underhyped. So the next one is What Do You Want from Legally Blonde, and that is to talk about something that you'd want to see more in books. And like to me the obvious answer is like LGBT plus representation in books, but I think that there always needs to be more. Do not get me wrong. But I think that like me specifically, I just haven't sought out enough so that like my understanding and my books that I have read are limited. So like I want to see that. I want to see more of that, but I think that it's also like on me for not having like sought out those books. But I think the one that I am gonna say for sure is like books set in college, because I feel like you've got books in high school and books like later on in high school when they're getting to be like around college, but like they're not there yet, like they're preparing for college, or it's in their mid-20s. I think the only book that I can think of off the top of my head that is set in college is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. But like, where are my college student books? I like, that was a great time for me. I want to remember college, and I feel like I don't get a lot of books. Or maybe I'm just like not looking in the right places. If you have an awesome book set in college, let me know, because I need more of those. But I kind of have a 2-part answer, because both of those are things that I need to read more. And then the very last question is actually a bonus question, and that is to pick a musical that you enjoy and then find a book for that musical. So it was really hard because a lot of my favorite musicals are on this list, but I have a specific song from a musical that I feel like really works for this book. So I think that it's a good musical, but like the song specifically is the reason for this book, and that is a musical from Something Rotten, which is like a retelling on Shakespeare, but like if he had musicals. But it's like a fascinating song. It's so much fun. It is ridiculously hilarious, and it's basically this guy trying to convince Shakespeare to write a musical and that it's okay, but he uses modern day musicals like Wicked and Annie and Les Mis and things like that are Chorus Line, I think, isn't there, and he uses that to explain why musicals are awesome. That was a long explanation for saying it's this song and musical, but I'm going to choose My Lady Jane by the Lady Janies, which are Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jodie Meadows, just because this is a comic book that takes history and like totally twists it around, which is exactly what Something Rotten does. So basically this follows, I'm sure you've heard about it, I've talked about it a few times on the channel, but this follows Jane Grey, who was actually a historical figure who was in charge and became Queen of England for like 9 days. But like, instead of Catholics versus Protestants, it's a very magical shape-shifting type of situation, and it's ridiculous. This is not historically accurate in the slightest, except for the fact that like Jane Grey was a real person, and so I like that because that's exactly what this musical is. Like, if you took a book and a musical, I can't think of a more perfect pairing, because like obviously Shakespeare didn't have musicals, but Shakespeare was a real person. Do you see where I see the connection? Because I think it makes sense. So that's basically all I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, make sure to check out the original video and Maddie's channel because she's like freaking amazing. And also, if you want to listen to the songs, because all of them are awesome, they'll be down there as well. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know of like a musical that is your favorite musical if you are a musical theater person, because like I could always use another good musical. That's what I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you want to be part of this awesome growing family. I've got all of my social media down there as well if you would like to follow along on any of those. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.